Hello, this is Leif Spørck here. I'm the owner of Spørck Tileart and the artist that started the tile business in 2002. I just want to show you where the operation began. My parents moved here in 1974 or 5, I believe, and my dad was looking for a place to start a pottery. This location, he wanted to make mugs and bowls and plates. Both my parents were artists, or are artists. My dad was the driving force behind the pottery because he was very skilled at making pots, having all of a master's degrees from universities and colleges in ceramics. Right here we have a farm market and a bakery. This place did not exist when my parents moved here. This road here is called M204. It's the main highway between one side of the county where I live and the other side of the county. So this is a very busy road in the summertime. This is a very seasonal location. You can see there's lots of orchards here. Those are all apple trees up there. These are grapes here. There's vineyards, several vineyards now here. There used to be cherries when I was growing up here, and you can see in the hillside up there, those are cherry trees up there. There's more cherry trees up there. So we're in the middle of a lot of farming here, fruit farming. Excuse me. So the location of the original pottery was very good because all the people coming from many people come by here because it's in a very good location because of where the towns are located. I won't get into details about that because it's a little too complicated. I'm going to leave the camera running as I drive down here because I'm not sure how to splice videos on those new apps. So I'm going to keep this simple and just take you right to the pottery. So I lived here from 1978 until I went to college in 1997. So I lived here for about 18 years. I was born in a town called Traverse City, which is about 20 minutes from here. And Traverse City is the largest city in northern Lower Michigan, where I'm located at. So all the traffic comes from Traverse City. So this here is the driveway that goes down to the house. And where you see the sign right there, that's the driveway that goes down to the pottery. My dad's workshop is right there in that building. And that building was built in 1975, I believe. And that's where he has made pots ever since. That's where I make my clay now. And that's where I make my glazes. So in 2010, my dad wanted to switch. The galleries are down there. I'll show you in a minute. But my dad wanted to switch our businesses. He was ready to kind of retire a little bit and take it easy. So he wanted me to go into the main gallery and move my tiles into the main gallery if I wanted to. And then he was going to move into the smaller gallery and not act as a normal business, which made it possible for me to put my sign up. So, which I'm going to paint this year. I opened up a new gallery in Sutton's Bay last year, so I was really limited with time. So the sign needs to be painted, which I'll do this year. So, so the original name of my dad's pottery was called Bristling Pottery, and he named it after the bristling sardines. My dad's dad, Klaus Spørck, was he was a very proud American. He married an American, and he lived in Norway, and he lived in the United States. He was an engineer, and a very talented engineer from the University of. He had his degree from the University of Berlin. He grew up in Trondheim. There's a long story there about how that all happened. So he ended up moving my dad's father ended up moving to northern Michigan because he had an engineering job in Traverse City, and this was when my dad was graduating from high school. So my dad ended up coming with him, and he ended up taking ceramic classes at the local college in Traverse City, and then he really enjoyed ceramics. My dad also went to a boarding school during high school in a very, very well-known school called Cranbrook. Cranbrook is located in Detroit, and it was once the prep school where a lot of the automotive industry families would send their children. My dad went to school with Mitt Romney. If you remember him, he was a candidate for the president and lost against Barack Obama in the second term. But my dad went to school with him. So my dad went to a school where art was appreciated. And when he came up here to Traverse City and took classes at the local community college, he really enjoyed pottery and ceramics. So he met my mom there, and my mom was a native to Traverse City. And then my dad went on to a larger university, Michigan State, and then to a very specialized school in upstate New York called Alfred University, where he learned specialized glazing. So then my parents moved here, bought this farm and this pottery in the mid-1970s, and he opened up Brisling Pottery. And since my dad was very fond of his roots, Brisling just struck him as a cool name. Now this pottery, as you can see, it doesn't get any foot traffic, so it's very we get a unique type. Now that I have established my businesses in 2 other locations that are in the center of small towns where there's a lot of foot traffic, the business here has changed a lot. We get the people that like to come back every year and come to the original location. It's special for them to come here because it all started here. But the traffic's definitely toned down, and it's not as busy as it used to be. So I have been neglecting that sign, excuse me. But like I said, I opened up a new gallery in Sutton's Bay last year, and I only have so much time. So this is a very this is kind of a special place to go to see the pottery, to see the gallery, because this is the first location where it all started. And that's our barn here. All orchards surrounding here, the property. All the land surrounding this property is also in a conservancy now, so it'll never be developed. So this was my dad's original pottery, Brisling Pottery. Now my dad's pottery is in that building, that smaller building. My dad built that smaller building in the mid-1990s for my sister and I to sell our things in. So that was my sister and I's gallery. Mainly my sister's, because I was getting a little bit older for that then. So this building, we believe, is probably about 110 years old. And it was actually built from a fire. When that barn burned down, they took all the materials and built this around I think it was 1911. So here, during the winter time, we get very little traffic. The town of Sutton's Bay, where I'm from, goes from just wall-to-wall, non-stop tourism in the summer, all the way through the fall into October, and then right around November, December, it just becomes very quiet. Hardly anyone comes here. So we have a very kind of a rustic kind of system here that works. My dad comes out and waits on customers when he can. So we don't have anyone hired here sitting here. But and right now I've picked through the pottery and I've taken a lot of the tiles out of here because I've needed them at other places while there's no business here. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't hurt anything. So before the season starts, I'll have all these in May, I'll fill up all the walls with frame tiles and with single tiles, and this will be all stuffed full of lots of tiles. These are authentic fishnet floats from Norway. I sell these in my gallery. I started selling these in my gallery in Fishtown. I'll take you there next. So these are popular, and they're very add a very Norwegian kind of fishing atmosphere to my galleries, which I like. I think these are really cool. I've been selling them for about 10 years now. So so again, here's my dad's pottery. You can see I have these field tiles because this used to be my gallery when I first started in 2002. So now my dad sells his pots in here. So the gallery that we were just in used to be full of my dad's pottery. And now he's, like I said, he's 68, and he just likes to play around a little bit, have some fun, and he keeps it full. He likes to have a little sense of humor with things. His face pumpkins, his ceramic pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns are really popular. He's known for those. My dad's also known for writing stories on the backs of his pottery. So, he was actually featured in a very large newspaper, the Detroit Free Press, and they did a whole article on his pottery because he likes to write little stories and keep a diary on the back of his pottery. So this is all our property here, and then we're going to be building a new workshop on the other side of this swamp for my employees, and that's where when I open up the gallery in Norway, that's where they're going to be working. So excuse me. So now I'll show you the workshop. So this is where my dad started making the pots. This is basically just has been unchanged since 1976. He does not fire his pottery with wood, although people think that when they see all that. He heats the shop with wood. And he's not out here today. So, okay. This is my clay that I've bought, that I use. And I mix it here, and I pug it through the pug mill here. You'll see how this looks, and it doesn't look all perfectly neat and everything. Well, my dad's never had any employees. He works for himself. You can spend a lot of time organizing. I believe that if you have a workshop that's clean, it feels much better. It will function properly. There are advantages and disadvantages of being very clean. Some of the advantages are it just feels nicer, less stress, more fluid kind of an atmosphere. However, being so neat can prevent a lot of creativity. It can prevent a lot of experimenting. It can prevent a lot of not caring as much about being neat can allow you to, really open up and free yourself to just trying lots of different things, not worrying about where you're going to set something, not worrying about going to bed before you clean the floor, things of that nature. So I believe your studio should be clean, especially if you have employees, especially if the public is coming in and seeing it. However, it's also an advantage if you can work in chaos. Like this might be seen as chaotic to some people, but everything has a function here. Everything is here for a purpose. So, and it's all used. All these buckets are glazes that my dad makes. The tools are all resting somewhere because he's used it recently and needs to use it again. Um, all the glaze materials. Each bag is a different ingredient. You can spend a lot of time making bins, or you can leave the bags here, shelving here. My philosophy is to try to keep things as simple as possible, spend as least amount of money as possible, make as much as you can on your own using materials that are inexpensive, and kind of go by those standards. Okay, so this is, since I was explaining to you, my dad downsized, so this is his kiln now. So he started this in 2010. This was nothing like what it was like when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, this room led to the kiln room, and this was like the magical place. So you'd open this door when I was a kid, and there would be smoke coming out and flames coming out of the kiln on bricks. It was a brick gas kiln. Big difference between a gas kiln and an electric kiln. So here's the original kiln. So he built this in 2000, or in 1975, I think. And then he decided he was getting too old in 2010, and he didn't want to build a new one. So you can see the bricks have started to come down a little. It's unfortunate because I wanted to make this into a museum someday, possibly, but you can see he fired it so much the bricks melted. And he had patched it up, but it kept working all those years. So this is what basically fed my family and put me to college, along with my mom and her full-time job at the phone company. Pretty cool, isn't it? There's water in here now. It's crazy. These were kilns that he would use. So now this workshop is ideal for, like, a larger size pottery. I would never need something this big. It is nice to have an outbuilding like this that's separate so that the kilns can fire. And in here it's airy. The smoke doesn't get in. You don't have to worry about breathing in the smoke. There is a little bit of smoke that occurs when you do the firings that you don't want to breathe in. It's not deadly. It's just not something you want to do, just like you don't want to breathe in campfire smoke. So this is the pottery my dad started, and where he makes everything, his workshop. These pots are ready to be taken out into the kiln, into the gallery. Lots of coffee mugs. Everyone's always loved his coffee mugs. Colanders, bowls, aliens. This mixer came from, this thing's been here since the very beginning. This came from there's a check for me, thank you. This came from a pie company. My grandpa was friends with a guy that owned a pie company here, and that was one of their pies. More pots. Oh, there's my dad. You're on camera, Dad. You're on camera.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. There's the potter himself, the professor. His truck. So. I don't know what else to say, Dad. I'm showing this is for maybe the people. This is the people in Uda.
Oh, hi, Uda.
Uda.
How
Okay.
you doing?
So my dad's dad is from Trondheim. So
Very hard worker.
okay,
You work very hard over there.
this was not planned. Okay, thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the end of the video.